What's up, fight fans? Welcome to Mr. Mustache MMA News. And today I want to recap Holloway versus Al and the entire fight card. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to continue getting more MMA content by yours truly. All right, guys, getting right into it. At the top, Max Holloway defeats Arnold Allen, unanimous decision in a phenomenal main event, right? Arnold looked tough, marched forward the entire fight, but Max, he was able to keep the distance, stay sharp, use his combinations, and just outland Allen throughout the fight and just pepper him with shots all over it. But Allen in his own right was landing a lot of hard shots. He was definitely going at it. And in that fifth round, he made it really, really, really interesting, where even his corner was like, hey, World War III, do or die, you need to go out there. Dan Hooker, fifth round style, right? And that's exactly what he did. He listened to everything his coaches told him what to do, and he went out there, do or die, tried to make something happen in that fifth round. He definitely hurt Max on a few shots, but towards the end, Max even dropped him in the last second of the fight. Like, Arnold just really went out there and was like, I'm either going to take you out or you're going to take me out. This is how it's going to go. And they definitely performed in a phenomenal main event. Max Holloway just continues to dominate the featherweight division besides of the whole Volkanovski situation. And it's kind of interesting, like, what's next for Max. I think Max, obviously he's probably going to sit back and wait a little bit after this. He's going to see what's going to happen with the Yair and Volk fight. I think what's going to happen with Yair and Volk, if Yair beats Volk, Volk's probably going to move up to 55 permanently. And I can see Max sliding in to have a rematch with Yair for the featherweight strap. But something's telling me, win or lose, Volk is going to move up to 155 afterwards. After what he's already done to Islam, I feel like he's kind of just like being the company man and defending his belt again at 45 instead of like just letting it go. He's going to give it one more go. And just deep down, I just have that feeling that he's just going to move up regardless of the outcome after the Yair Rodriguez fight. So Max, I think if he stays patient, I think it's going to work out in his favor no matter what when it comes to getting a title shot and getting a good money fight. And Arnold Allen, man, I mean, after a 10-fight win streak with the UFC, he looked sharp. He was a little bit flat-footed in this fight. Maybe the big moment, the lights kind of got to him a little bit. The big crowd, fighting the legend of Max Holloway. It might have got to him a little bit. He was probably out there taking pictures a little bit. But I don't think he loses any traction. He can go out there, and I'd like to see a rematch with Calvin Kattar if Calvin Kattar can get healthy soon enough, because like that fight, it just felt like it would have been such a much better matchup if you would have seen Calvin Kattar healthy in that outcome, right? But Arnold, I think if he just takes a little bit of time off, maybe a Brian Ortega matchup. I don't know if Korean Zombie retired or not. That would be a good matchup. Something along those lines. But nonetheless, Arnold Allen, man, you look really good. You still have a bright future. I think 29 years old, very young. Dude looks sharp, in shape. He can take a shot. So he's got a bright future ahead of him. Just unfortunately wasn't his night tonight. Moving on to the co-main event, we had Edson Barbosa defeating Billy Quartillo with a brutal knee halfway into the first round, where Billy was putting on the pace, he was putting on the pressure, he was pressing Edson against the cage, he was taking some shots, he was taking some knees to the body, and Edson was eventually able to just kind of just sneak that knee right up in there where Billy was kind of just going forward. He was able to slip that knee in there and just put him out, man. And Edson still got it, man. He still got that fire. He still got that sharpness, I guess, and he was able to bring it down to featherweight and seal the deal against Billy Q, the Squid, man. And Billy, who's an ultra durable guy, he's known for his durability, his ability to take a shot and to last throughout the fight in a Max Holloway sense, right? As the fight goes on, it definitely goes more and more to his favor. And he was out, and when the ref kind of went in there and stepped in, he didn't even realize how out he was. He was pretty upset. He's like, "Oh man, no, I wasn't out, dude. That was pretty nasty." That's how you know like how nasty of a knockout it was when the guy doesn't even really realize like what happened to him. It was it's like almost kind of scary too. But Billy, man, you went out there against a super legend in the UFC. No, it didn't go your way, but you're still in your physical prime, 34 years old. You have a lot of good matchups out there at featherweight. You're going to get another opportunity out there. You might have to put out another 2 or 3 victories, but I can definitely see you going out there and getting that done. I'm not sure if he fought Bill Algeo, because I know that they were supposed to fight before. And I'm pretty sure Algio got the victory tonight, didn't he? So maybe they can set that fight up. Yeah, he did. So maybe I could see a Bill Algio fight. I know that they were talking a lot in the past. So now that maybe he's taken a step back and Bill Algio's taken a step forward, maybe we can see that matchup materialize in the future. With Edson Barbosa, he's going to be just kind of like that stepping stone guy, even though he got the big victory against Billy Quarantillo. I think that with where he is in his position, his age, yeah, it was a phenomenal knee. It definitely keeps him right there in the featherweight rankings. But I really don't see he's got to rattle off 5, 6 wins probably in a row to even get close to that title picture again. So I'm not really sure what's going to be in store for the future of Edson Barbosa moving forward. I'll probably be making another video later this week when I start taking a look at the rankings. Like the Max Holloway fight, like literally just ended, so I'm jumping right on. I'm talking about this. But phenomenal performance by Edson Barbosa. Can't wait to see what he's going to do moving forward. Moving next in the light heavyweight division, we had Asmat defeating Dustin Jacoby, unanimous decision, where he dropped Dustin twice, once in the first round, once in the second round, where Dustin was looking good, he was looking sharp, he was looking solid, and they were both trading shots a lot, but Asmat was really able to use his sharp jabs and to really get inside the guard of Dustin and just land really solid shots. That's how he was able to find success with dropping him twice. But Dustin in himself, he found a lot of success, especially in that third round. He was going out there and just showing his toughness and his veteran ability, right? And against a guy like Asmat, it just shows how size doesn't really matter because Dustin, he had considerable size going into that fight. But Asmat, I mean, he just has it. He just has that power in his hands and that ability and that sharpness and that technique. He's going to be a little bit of a dark horse in the light heavyweight division now that he's going to be, I think he just beat. I think Dustin is number 13 in the world. So we have ourselves officially a dark horse in the light heavyweight division. And I can see him maybe going against Ion Cutelaba, who we're going to be talking about next, where Ion defeated Tanner Boser by knockout in the first round, where Tanner himself, he looked like a whole new fighter moving down to light heavyweight. He looked like a whole new person. He looked skinny. It was kind of crazy to see. He looked healthy. And it kind of sucks that it shows that he went out there, put in all this work, lost all this weight, and did this whole new regiment, new weight class just to get KO'd in like the first 2 minutes. That's really unfortunate. But whatever, man. You went in there, you got your feet wet, you're in this new body type. You're not really used to feeling yourself like that. So the fact that he's got himself and his feet wet, I hope he decides to stay at light heavyweight and keep this going and see what he can do moving forward, because that was a killer first test in Ion Cutelaba, who's always a savage. That guy, just like Arnold Allen I was just talking about earlier, he's a do-or-die guy. He goes forward. He is a fucking savage, and he showed it before in his Khalil Roundtree fight. Like, he's like, oh, yeah, fuck your Muay Thai. Like, I'm just going to go out there and just beat the shit out of you. That's exactly what he did against Khalil, right? And in this fight, again, like, his back is kind of against the wall because he's kind of been in this weird, inconsistent win-loss. He knocks guys out. He gets knocked out. He had that rivalry with Magomed Ankalaev. All that stuff happened. But he really went out there and showed that he still got the power. He still got that veteran ability. And he put Tanner Boser out with that 1-2. It was phenomenal. And just the shots that he was landing as Tanner was getting up from the cage, you could just tell that just Tanner was kind of stuck. He just took like 2 shots too many, and it was a good stoppage. It's a good fight for Ion. I think next up he could fight either a guy like Dustin Jacoby or Asmat. I think that'll be a really good matchup. They both fought the same night, didn't take too much damage per se. I think that'll be a really good matchup moving forward. Tanner Boser, same thing. Like, I don't think he's really going to lose a whole lot of traction. I still think he's going to get a good matchup moving forward. I think maybe just take a little bit of time off, keep training with his new body type and get used to that. I think maybe he was just a little bit uncomfortable out there. Moving next, in the bantamweight division, we had Pedro Munoz defeating Chris Gutierrez, unanimous decision, 30-27 across the board, in a fight that he just outclassed Chris, right? The moment just kind of seemed to be too big for him, where Pedro dropped him early in the first round, and he was just able to just kind of fight his fight the rest of the fight. And Chris just was just kind of reacting a little bit hesitant. It just seemed like he just a little bit hesitant to engage the rest of the fight. And Pedro was just kind of able to bully him for the rest of the fight. And that's just kind of what we saw. Like, Chris just doesn't seem to believe in his own abilities, and I think DC and Michael Bisping were talking about that themselves. Like, you can just see just kind of like the lack of self-confidence where it's just like, oh man, I don't know, like, holy shit, I'm fighting Pedro Munoz, instead of like, no, Pedro Munoz is fighting me, right? And I think that's kind of what we saw out there. We just saw that the moment just got a little bit too big for him, and maybe he was out there taking pictures of kind of where he was and who he was fighting, rather than him being good enough to be in that moment, right? But Pedro, kind of 3 fights in a row on a losing streak, back against the wall in his late 30s, went out there, showed he still has the power, showed that he could still stay cool, calm, and collect, fight for a full 15 minutes and dominate a hungry killer like Chris Gutierrez, right? Pedro moving forward, I'm not really sure what kind of matchup they're going to give him. With the bantamweight division, everything's going on over there. There's all these things happening. Maybe like a Ricky Simone, something like that. I can see that happening. I'm not really too sure. But moving forward, guys, we had Rafa Garcia defeating Clay Guida in just a fight where he just showed that he was just way better on the hands. He just showed that he was just a younger, more athletic fighter. Clay has had his time. He's out there. He can still compete, but he's not going to go out there and compete at a high level and get W's anymore. And it's just kind of evident. He teased that he was going to retire there at the end of the fight, and he said, no, I'm still here to stay. And that's kind of cool, and I'm happy to see that. He's definitely from the same neighborhood I'm from. So that was kind of cool to see him and still continue and not really go out there and get KO'd like all these guys. But Clay Guida, the true Iron Man of the UFC, I can't wait to see what he's going to do moving forward. I'm sure he's still going to put on great performances. And Rafa Garcia, great performance against a solid veteran against Clay Guida. All right, guys, moving forward to the prelims, we had Bill Algeo defeating TJ Brown via submission, rear naked choke, and just a barn burner of a fight, right, guys? Bill Algeo and TJ Brown, this was more of like a technical brawler versus your traditional brawler, where Bill, he's willing to engage in these brawls, but he's going to do it technically. He's going to go out there and he's going to brawl with a little bit of sense. He's not just going to throw everything in the wind. He's going to throw at that power with a little bit of thought behind it, with a little bit of strategic ability behind it. Whereas TJ Brown, he's a savage. He's got powers in those punches. He can take most people out in the world. But against these upper echelon dudes who are aware of what you're kind of just throwing with that reckless abandon, they're going to take advantage of that. And that's exactly what we saw with Bill Algeo, right? Bill, tough guy. He's always just kind of, he's right there, and then he kind of just fucks up. He gets right up there, and he kind of just gets a little bit of inconsistency. So I think moving forward, a fight with like Billy Quarantillo, who just lost to Edson Barbosa in the same night, I think a fight like that would really make sense. I think they were even supposed to fight before. So I think a fight with Bill Algeo would make a lot of sense. TJ Brown, no shame in losing to a guy like Bill. You're still a solid veteran of the UFC. You go out there and you put on good performances. I'd like to see what you're going to do moving forward. I like to watch you fight. Your ability to just kind of just go out there and just stand and bang is pretty impressive. I like that with a lot of guys. You don't really see that often. But you're not going to be able to win these fights against these upper echelon guys. So hopefully you can go back to the drawing board, learn to kind of build up that fight IQ a little bit. And hopefully the next performance we can see a smarter, more tactical DJ Brown, because I think TJ Brown could be very dangerous if he were to just pick his shots a little bit better. Moving forward in the flyweight division, Brandon Royval made a fucking statement with his TKO over Mateus Nicolau, where Brandon is just, again, like how I said about Bill Algeo, he's like this technical brawler. He goes out there and he puts pressure on dudes, and he goes out there to finish the fight from the very start of that fight. But he goes at it with a little bit of fight IQ with it. He picks his shots perfectly. He throws these wild shots out of nowhere. His fight with Kai Kara France is a perfect example where he was just able to go out there and just be aggressive, be wild, and just kind of force it on these guys. And these guys tend to really break, or they will give up openings that Brandon always seems to kind of find, right? His record definitely doesn't show his elite ability in the flyweight division. He's really found his groove there, and he's definitely got himself right there in title contention. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with Brandon Moreno and Alexander Pantoja, because if Brandon can get the W there, I could definitely see Brandon Royval stepping right in for a title shot. Maybe one of the guys gets hurt, he can step in, maybe an interim title, something like that can happen. Brandon Royval has himself in a very sweet position with a very phenomenal performance against a very tough Mateus Nicolau. Moving forward, we had light heavyweight Zach Cummings defeat Ed Herman third round TKO in a strange fight, right? You had two guys who are definitely way past their prime. And Zach Cummings, it was weird to see him in this fight at light heavyweight because I'm always used to seeing him fight at welterweight and middleweight. And he always kind of looked like he was in shape. Like he had a little bit of a dad bod, but I had never seen that much pudge on him before. But he's still, man, he still had the speed. He still had the hands. He looked quick, sharp, tactical against Ed Herman, who looked slow. He almost looked like a hungover dude. Like he looked like he just left the bar and just walked right into that octagon. Like you could just tell it was like, damn, it was almost sad to watch, you know, like to see such a solid veteran to go out there and get beat up out there like that. But they had a really nice moment at the end of the fight where they both retired, right? Zach Cummins, he's from Kansas City, Missouri. I'm not sure if it's Kansas City, but he's from Missouri, and he started his UFC career at that arena. So for him to finish his UFC career at that arena, almost on the exact same day of the month, it just almost seemed like a perfect picture way for him to end his career with a TKO over a solid veteran at Ed Herman. You know, Ed Herman's been in the UFC since like 2006. 2006, I was in sixth grade. This dude's, that's his UFC career, right? That's fucking wild. I'm almost 30. Like, that's fucking wild. So to see this guy to have the longevity of his career is pretty impressive. It sucks to see them fight this late in their career. Hopefully, because, you know, a lot of times, like, they need the money. But Ed Herman, he's always surrounded himself with good fighters and good teams. I'm sure the guy is not out there for money. I'm sure he's out there to compete. And he showed that he can take a punch, I guess, still. But to see them both retire like that, it was time for him to go with him taking a loss like that. And it was cool to see Zach Cummings go on a W like that. So you got to see both sides of the coin in the same like moment. And they both embraced at the end. You saw that. That was really touching. That was really cool to see. So, guys, thank you for your phenomenal career, Zach Cummings and Ed Herman. Good luck and a happy retirement. Moving forward, we had Jillian Robertson. Jillian Robertson defeated Piera Rodriguez with submission armbar in the second round, where Jillian, man, on the ground, that girl is just a savage. Most recently, she had a submission fight against Thug Rose, and she choked her out like the first like minute and a half. She most recently choked out Maria Agapova. She has been able to go out there time and time again. When the fight goes to the ground, she is fucking dangerous, and she goes out there to finish these girls. I'm pretty sure in the women's strawweight division, she's like right up there all time in like submission victories. Like she is one of the most dangerous submission threats in women's UFC history. So to see her to continue go out there, and she's young as shit. So to see her go out there and get these really exciting performances, and she seems to grow every single time that she goes out there. So I can't wait to see what Jillian's going to do moving forward. And Piera, that was her first L. So I hope that she is able to take this, learn from it. She fought a solid veteran. There's no shame in that. Jillian's a beast. So Pierre, just go back to the drawing board, come back and she's still going to be a title contender, a ranked fighter for years to come. I have no doubt about that. Moving next, we had Daniel Zellhuber defeating Lando Venata by unanimous decision in a fight where, like, I'm such a Lando Venata fan. Seeing him fight at lightweight still, like, frustrates me. He should be fighting at featherweight. And when he fought Charles Jourdain down at featherweight, he fought a guy who should be at lightweight, but is fighting at featherweight. It's just one of those things where he's just like this tweener in his own weight class. So it's really hard to see this happen for him, and it sucks because he's so talented, and he just can't find any sort of consistency throughout any of his career. And he's such a good fighter. Groovy Lando Venata is so good, and it just sucks that he hasn't really been able to showcase it. And I feel like a lot of the time it's either A, he's undersized, or B, he seems to be his own worst enemy, where he just stuck in his head. He can't pull the trigger. Things like that happens where he hesitates a little too much. I know he was seeing a sports psychologist, all these things, but it just sucks to see him get the L again because I'm such a Lando Venata fan. But Daniel Zellhuber, who is so long, tall, he was like the reach advantage that he had over Lando Venata was insane, and he really took advantage of that. He just looked super sharp, super confident, 23 years old, had a phenomenal victory over a super solid veteran like Lando Venata. So to go out there, get his feet wet over a guy like him and get the victory, and just he looked good, man. He looked strong, sharp. He had the power. He had the speed, everything about it, the length. He's going to be a problem in the lightweight division, so I can't wait to see what he's going to do moving forward. Next, we had the women's strawweight where Denise Gomes and Bruna Brazil. I missed that fight. I was on my way home from work, so I actually have not seen it. I got to rewatch that fight, so I cannot make any comments on that. Same thing with the Gaston Bolanos and the Aaron Phillips fight. I completely missed that fight as well. I was on my way home from work, so that fight, completely missed it. But to start the night, we had Jocelyn Edwards defeated Lucy Pudilova. I was able to watch this fight before I left work, as I was finishing up my paperwork. And Jocelyn, man, I necessarily didn't think that she got the victory. I thought a little bit controversial, but her hands, man, she was going out there. She was putting out the effort. She was getting up every time she got taken down. She was really working to get up on her feet and throw her hands. She was landing on Lucy. She was landing a lot of her own shots, but I thought Lucy's ground control kind of outweighed all of that. But Jocelyn, she got the victory. No shame on that. She's missed weight twice, 2 times in a row. But if that girl, if she can get her weight on, right, she can be a really dangerous fighter in the 135-pound division. She's a young prospect, 27 years old. She's sharp on the feet. She's long. She's got good kicks, good hands. It's just very accurate, very fast, very strong. You don't see that type of strength really with these women fighters. You just don't see that. When you see her hit, you hear it too. So, and I think that also plays a part with the judges too. Like when she hit Lucy, you could hear it. And Lucy's big thing was she was just getting the takedown. She was getting the control. So maybe the damage too played a lot with Jocelyn getting the W too, which I can definitely see, which I don't really see it being controversial. I guess you could say it could have gone either way, really. But nonetheless, Jocelyn Edwards, I think that if she continues her slow rise and build up, she's still young. Don't push her too quickly. I think that she can be a really big problem in the women's bantamweight division moving forward. Lucy Pudilova, she looked good herself. She's got phenomenal ground abilities. I'd like to see her round out her game a little bit more to be able to utilize her striking a little bit. But besides that, I think that she's also going to have herself a pretty good career in the women's bantamweight division. She just has to round out her game a little bit more. So just take some time off, work with some striking coaches. I think that she can correct those holes. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. For UFC, Kansas City, Holloway versus Allen. Guys, let me know in the comment section what you guys think of the event, what you guys think of the episode. Guys, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to continue getting more MMA content by yours truly. All right, guys, I'm fucking tired. Mr. Mustache, MMA News out. Let's fucking go, fight fans.